Last time Jody was here, he had just had bariatric surgery, and he was untangling a lifetime of weight struggles, emotional setbacks, kind of a messy relationship with food too. And what, I admire about Jody the most is he just keeps pushing forward. He's still figuring out, he's still doing the work. And that helped me realize something that we just don't say enough. And that's getting healthy isn't a one-time decision. Oftentimes it's a series of recommitments. It's not like you make the decision and it happens and it's happily ever after. It's a lot of work, and a lot of health stories get packaged kind of like that clean arc, decide to change, do the work, reach the goal, done. But Jody's story complicates that a little bit. And I think it complicates it in a good way because I think it's the lived experience of a lot of guys. So just to bring you back up to speed, Jody did an Ironman before, and he had some goals for doing the Ironman. He thought it would help him achieve some of his health goals, but it really didn't fix that big stuff. It didn't deliver the weight loss he expected. It didn't lock in the permanent fitness lifestyle that he wanted. And after the finish, he rebounded. He said in the episode, pizza for a year.
That's right.
So it didn't solve that maintenance either. And worst is it didn't make him happy inside, which he thought it might as well. Like, when I become fit, I'll be happy. That's a story we tell ourselves a lot. But he was still unfulfilled. So when I heard that he signed up for another Ironman, my first reaction was like, why? Why are you doing this again? And what changed in his thinking and his plan? So maybe this time the Ironman plays out differently. And we're going to find out where things are now and why Jody thinks another 2.4 miles in the water, 112 miles on a bike, and a 26-mile run feels like the right next step. This is Who Cares About Men's Health? Information, inspiration, and an interpretation of men's health. I'm Scott. I bring the BS. The MD to my BS is Dr. John Smith.
Hey, thank you for having me. Jody, I'm just curious about the emotional leg of the stool and how that kind of panned out. I'm excited to get into this with you today.
All right. And he's a convert, producer Mitch.
Hey there. After re-listening to the episode, the one thing I do want to ask at some point is, does Jody still sneeze when he's feeling full? Which was just caught me off guard when I was listening to it again. I had forgotten that bit and it's still rattling around up there. But so Jody, you're doing another Ironman.
Yeah. And I'm thinking that year of pizza sounds really good right now.
I would imagine, right? Like if you're weighing out the two things, let's see, train for an Ironman or eat pizza for a year. What the would you rather game? Yeah, the rather probably lands on the pizza. So another Ironman. I want to dive into that, but I'm first curious. 1 year post surgery, you had gastric bypass. Is that technically what you got?
It was kind of like a gastric bypass. It was the duodenal switch.
Okay.
So it had the gastric sleeve where they took out about 3/4 of my stomach, and then they rerouted the intestines. So that's sort of like the gastric bypass. So it's kind of the big granddaddy of them all. It's the really powerful dual weight loss surgery that it both restricts how much you're able to eat, and then it restricts how many calories and nutrients your body gets as well because of the intestinal bypassing. And so, man, going back the last time we were on here, I think I was about 105 pounds heavier than I am now.
So it's continued to work. It's continued to help you lose weight.
Yeah, I fought it for so long to get the surgery, and some of that was pride, and some of it was probably ignorance and fear and trepidation and all of the above. And it's turned out to be it's really saved my life, changed my life, and it's been a wonderful experience for me, honestly. So I don't sneeze as much as I used to, though. I probably should. I'd probably be way less now than I did or I do if I would sneeze more often when I should stop eating.
Yeah, it's a very obvious little hint that maybe I'm full, like when you sneeze, because it's so weird. That's so strange.
That was such a strange body cue, yeah, that you're full. And it occasionally will happen now, but not nearly as much as it did back then.
I would recommend everybody go check that episode out that we did with Jody about a year and a half ago when we talked about the surgery, because if it's something you've ever considered, he really kind of goes into that. And so I'm glad to hear that a year and a half later that it's actually still working, because sometimes these surgeries, I think people, it works for a little bit and then it doesn't. So it's great to hear that it's still working for you. On to the Ironman. Why?
That is the best question you could possibly ask me.
Right? Okay.
What in the hell was I thinking? Can I say hell? Because that's what it feels like. Yeah.
So first of all, let me be polite and say, how's the training going? When's the race? That sort of stuff. And then we'll talk about the rest of it.
Well, let's put it this way. I just came out of a therapy session and I'm all pro therapy.
Because of the Ironman, or?
The whole session was me talking about training and all the different aspects of how that affects me, and both negatively and positively. But yeah, so
give us like, how does it, what's one way it affects you positively and one way it affects you negatively?
Well, positively, I'm just all in on exercise, and I was coming from a place where I was a couch potato and was really lazy, and so I definitely feel really good health wise, and just can move around better, and part of that is losing weight, but also using your body. You're able to do more, and even just simple things like walking upstairs, or I don't know, bending down to tie your shoes or stuff like that. It's just so much easier, and I just feel fitter and I feel really good. And so that's a positive. The negative is probably mentally, like that's really tough, and being sore a lot, and my swim socks. And
your swim socks? What are your swim socks? Do they mock you or what?
My swim is so horrible. Like
your swim socks. I thought you said swim socks. I thought there was something.
Yeah.
You would think I was wearing cement swim socks because of how much my swim sucks. My enunciation has gone downhill since I started training. No, the swimming is a challenge. All three disciplines are a challenge, but I have really lousy swimming form, and so that's been an issue, and it makes it so I can't go as far in the pool as I should be at this point, because it's 3,800 meters, 2.4 miles. And that's a long, long way to swim. And people always say, I think the swim's the easiest part. And I'm like, I don't think you've swam a lot if you say that. Or you're Michael Phelps. And it's
yeah, right. Then you can say that. So help me work through this. Like, all the benefits of exercise you talk about, you could get without an Ironman. And then you wouldn't have to face the fact that your swimming sucks every day, and you wouldn't have to, have all of that pain. Why the Ironman? Why is that the vehicle for your exercise?
It kind of ties into, well, not kind of, it definitely ties into my journey with the weight loss surgery. So I did the first Ironman in 2011. So it's been a minute. And so I signed up, and I thought for sure that it was going to take me from a lifetime of obesity and catapult me into a lifetime of fitness and happily ever after and healthily ever after. It took 16 and a half hours to get to from the starting line to the finish line, but I did it. And then they say that there is no finish line, but for me, there was a definitive finish line. I had finished my journey. I got the Ironman, and then I stopped, and hence began the year of pizza, and I gained all of my weight back and then some over the course of the next year or two. And from 2011, when I finished it, until about, 4 or 5 months ago, I didn't even entertain the thought of doing another Ironman. Thought, nope, that's not for me. That was way too extreme. I can't keep going from one extreme to the other, because it was just like this yo-yo effect, and it was really hard physically and mentally. And I thought exactly what you had said a minute ago. I need to find a shorter, like sprint triathlon or Olympic distance triathlon, or just 5K or 10K, and just be happy with that. Just like go out, jog for a mile or two a day, maybe go on a 5-mile bike ride, find some moderate exercises to do, and go on with your life like that. Well, I did last year. I went through the weight loss surgery, and in the summertime, I decided, hey, I want to do one of those short sprint triathlons again. It's been a long time. It's been 12 years. Let's try it. So Labor Day last year of 2024, I signed up and did the South Davis Triathlon, and it was a short swim, like 300 and something yards, 12 miles on the bike, and a 5K. And it took me a long time, and it was hard, and it sucked, but I finished and felt really good. And I thought, well, that was kind of a fun type of suck. Let's maybe continue doing that. And I signed up for a longer distance race. Well, 1 week went by, 2 weeks went by, a month went by, 2 months go by, 3 months go by, and I didn't do any exercises. I'm like, all right, here I go again. I accomplished a fun little triathlon, and I didn't implement that into my daily life. And then I was stuck. I'm like, well, I went through this big ordeal, like life body altering experience, to go through the surgery. And here I still am about 100 pounds overweight, and I couldn't exercise, couldn't get myself to exercise, even though I had this Olympic distance triathlon that I was signed up for. And then I ended up postponing that to this year. And then, gosh, over the months, I'm just like, I'm not motivated. And so a series of different events happened where I, crazily enough, decided, you know what? I want to do another Ironman, which makes no sense. But I had seen another friend cross the finish line and saw his kids cheering him on. And so that plays a big role for me. I wanted to be a role model for my kids. And I wanted something, this huge, hairy goal that just scared the heck out of me. And also didn't just scare me to attempt it, but it scared me to sit on my couch. It scared me into action. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it makes total sense. This whole time I'm thinking fear is a huge motivator for Jody. Like, you need to be scared. You need to be, you need to have this thing that's so huge that you can't just half-ass your way through it. Like, you have to be prepared.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and to me, like, you're talking about your personality of like doing these big things, and you've made these big swings back and forth. And I think sometimes we get in those modes where like, that's kind of what we like to do. We like these big lofty goals, because that's what motivates us to get off our butt and start moving. And I think I have some of that in me as well, where I've had big weight swings being in residency and fellowship, and then coming out and losing weight. And so I can totally, like, you're telling your story and I'm like, I know how that feels. I know that. I don't have it at the extreme that you've had it. But I love that. And so for me, my question for you is, what do you plan to do differently this time as you go about it when you're done, instead of having that kind of cliff you fall off of? Are you working with your therapist? Like, what are you doing to kind of put things into perspective that once you crush this goal, what's the next steps?
Part of this is unfinished business from 2011, because I have the Ironman. I finished the Ironman Coeur d'Alene in 16 hours and 36 minutes. And I had the great photo of me crossing the finish line, and the guy dressed up in a Batman costume was behind me. And, I've got all that. I accomplished that goal. But what I didn't accomplish is after the finish line. I didn't let it change me. I accomplished that goal, but I didn't change who I was. And so Jim Rohn came on, and he had a quote that really kind of encapsulates my Ironman experience. And he said, set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. And so what's important is the person you become, not achieving the goal, but the person you become in pursuing that goal. And for me, that's the key. Yeah, my goal is to cross that finish line in Sacramento, however long it takes, under 17 hours for that Ironman. But it's about doing it the right way this time, is becoming the person that I want to be, and challenging myself and breaking these habits of laziness, honestly, and establishing like, hey, I'm not just an Ironman on this day, but I'm an Ironman every day, and I can do these hard things. And it's not running a marathon every day, but it's getting out at Monday night at 8 p.m. and going for a 2.5 hour walk, or doing a 2.5 hour bike ride, or swimming for 1,000 meters, or whatever. It just consistency, just like stacking those wins on top of each other. And then after the race is done, whether I finish or I don't finish, then I continue. And then I have another goal after that. And that's what I'm going to be doing differently this time compared to last time.
So what have you put in place right now? I mean, it sounds like you're talking to your therapist and doing those things. What kind of things are you putting in now to help you and give you the confidence moving forward that, that finish line wasn't the magic bullet or whatever that you thought it was going to be to propel you? I'm just curious because, I'm thinking about times in my life where I struggle with that, and I'm always looking for for insight. So what things are you putting in place as your guardrails?
Yeah. And I think those are a couple of the guardrails is like, you know, some guys, I think especially shy away from seeking help from others. And so I really enjoy my therapist, and she's awesome. And the last thing she said to me today was, I believe in you. I believe that you can do this. And so I think that having a support, somebody who can see the big picture and can guide you with your mental health as well, that's been really invaluable. The thing that I started off before I even stepped onto the track or jumped in the swimming pool and hopped on my bike, the thing that I did is I wrote like a list of whys, and I know whys are kind of cliche a little bit, but you want to have your why. And I wrote down this big long list of reasons why I want to do an Ironman, and part of that was, you know, motivation to continue the journey that I started in 2011 and to become something better than I had allowed myself to become, to do this for my kids and to inspire myself and hopefully inspire others. And so I probably have, I don't know, I'm looking at it right now. There's probably 30, 40 different things that I wrote on here.
That's awesome.
I love having structured workouts and training for something, and not just like, oh, I need to go jog for a mile today, just to jog for a mile. But I don't know, there's something kind of motivating about, hey, I'm training for something instead of just exercising. So that's one of the things. I also got my kids involved, and they're excited about it. I let others know. I think that just kind of soaking up the energy and the support of others is really helpful. I've joined a triathlon club, and so they say you become like the 5 people you hang around the most. And so those are really fit, awesome, inspiring people that I want to be like that. And so I've changed some of the media that I intake. I watch a lot of inspiring either motivational speakers, or other triathletes or runners or cyclists or whatnot that are really motivating. That helps. So there's no guarantee, like it ultimately is just us every day choosing to continue to be and to keep seeking and fighting and scraping for forward momentum, or you start sliding backwards.
Hey, Jody, I'm wondering, like, do you think you would be listening to the things that you're listening to, or writing that list, or being hopeful for this next triathlon to be different, if it wasn't for getting some mental health help? Because I know that's so hard. It was impossible for me to start, but I definitely think that for me, at least, that was really, really helpful. And I mean, just listening last time, there was still some hesitancy, it sounded like, in the old interview about, I guess I'll be doing some mental health stuff, but it sounds like it's a big part now.
It really is. And that's, I'm glad you brought that up, because if you go back, there is, like, you can see things being put into motion. And the first thing I did, and kudos to me.
Yes, that's right. That's kudos. We guys need to do more of that right there. I love it. Kudos to you. Keep going, Jody.
My therapist today told me to have compassion on myself and to be proud of things I accomplished. So I sat down in her office, probably, I think it was February or March of this year. And I was a mess. I was unhappy at work. I was unhappy with myself. I was in that I had lost 125 pounds or whatever, and I was stuck on my weight loss journey. I was still frustrated about my whole ex situation and finance, everything. I was just like a mess. And she started helping sort me out. And if nothing else, it was just like somebody who had a open ear, and I could just sit down and whine and complain to somebody who was compassionate towards me and empathetic, and had offered some good advice, and had she was a great listener. And so I really appreciated that. And here we are today. It's been about 6 months since I started my therapy sessions with her. And she said, I have just witnessed this amazing mental health transformation that you've gone through. And she's like, I'm just so proud. And she teared up. And I'm like, well, you're going to make me cry now. It was really cool. It was like, Man, I was a mess back then. I still am a mess, but
Well, sure. I mean, and because I got to like quote unquote graduate from therapy with my therapist a couple of years ago, and it was the same sort of thing where it's just like, hell yeah, like I was maybe a mess. I'm still a mess, but I'm a participant. I'm a I'm an active part of it.
You're a mess in progress.
Yes, and I have some of the tools to actually work through some of it. So I'm so glad to hear that there's other guys out there that are having those same experiences.
yeah, and I think it goes back to that stool, where you have like the different. If you're trying to ride a stool like a unicycle, that is really hard to balance. You need all the legs touching the floor. So, and the more legs you have, the more stable you are. So that mental health component is really, honestly, it's the base, because that really, I was working on the physical, but the physical was stuck. And so that's where we had to dig into the mental.
I'm just processing what I'm hearing, and it sounds like to me your journey last time you did it without kind of the mental health component, and it maybe didn't give you the strength you needed to carry that through. And I'm just, it sounds like this time you're in a better headspace to where when you get done, you're going to be able to maintain some of that. I think it sounds like you've made this paradigm shift. What was the final hurdle that it took for you to kind of go and was it, that you just looked around your life and saw that it was a mess, that you're like, I'm going to go talk with someone? I mean, for those people who are like in the situation, where all guys I think are in, where we're like, I don't want to go get help. What was the thing that kind of pushed you over the edge?
Yeah. You start like thinking, what am I going to do? Who am I going to turn to, or what's my next step? And it seemed like I was just kept running into brick walls, and I knew that I wasn't satisfied in my life. And I wasn't like wanting to end my life or anything like that, but I just wasn't happy. I'm like, I am just not in a good place, and there's got to be more to life than what I'm experiencing right now. I love my kids. I love being with my kids and doing that, but there's got to be more. And I think it was just that desire to see if somebody else had some different ways of helping me tap into that I guess I just decided to give it another shot, because I've had therapy before, and I remember, liking it here or there. I just never followed through on it. And so, I don't know, I guess Scott had talked about this earlier on. I fail a lot and I fall a lot, but I kind of get back up and just keep on going. And I know that it's, eventually people have had a lot of success through therapy. And so I'm like, well, I'm going to give this another shot. And I'm really glad I did.
So I have a question. So my observation, this was me getting inside of Jody's head, and it's not a bad place. It's a good place.
Wow, that's great.
But then I caught myself. I'm like, well, but I don't know that that's the case. So here was the exercise I did when I was thinking about this conversation. I was trying to break down last time when you did the Ironman, the things that you were hoping for out of it. I listened to the conversation, and I came up with some themes, and I think these themes can help all of us motivate ourselves, because we know from research that these are motivating things. So having some sort of structure, the Ironman gives you that, right? Maybe not the healthiest way, terrifying you that if you don't have this structure that you're going to show up for this event and it's just not going to go well. But like, structure is important. Purpose, the why. You said, whys are kind of cliche. I couldn't disagree more. I think whys are the most important part. Like, why do you want to do this? And for you, the Ironman, the why, you wanted to kind of do the same things, kickstart, make sure that it kind of gives you a reason to work out, a reason to exercise. Another main thing I think for you that was huge was community support. And when you're doing a big thing like this, that community support really comes forward easily. But when you're not doing big things like this, like when the race is done, like, nobody cheers you on for the maintenance. Nobody cheers you on for losing. Nobody cheers you on for losing, like a pound a month, right? The cheers don't come for that. And like, for a lot of people, and I feel as though this is the case for you, like, those things are super important. So I just really want to revisit this question of, after the vehicle for all of these things is done, the Ironman, do you have, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe none of these things are motivating to you, but do you have an idea of what you're going to do that's going to provide some of these other things in absence of a big thing like that?
No, this is something that I really enjoy. And so this is my new hobby. This is my new pickleball.
Yeah. Okay. Does that mean you're going to be doing more Ironman after this?
Yeah, like I have a
Okay.
goal. I served an LDS mission in France, and there's an Ironman in southern France in Nice. I want to do that. There's different races that I think would love to incorporate a long endurance event into my yearly life, like for as long as I can see doing that, 10, 15, 20 years, who knows? So that's one thing that I want to continue doing triathlons for sure. And so that's one of the things, like continuing to make this part of my life. It's about that becoming and continuing to become and evolve and to do, instead of just, you accomplish that goal and you're done and go sit on the couch. And one of the big things is to inspire my kids and to be a good example for them. And I have a 12-year-old son, and I'll tell people that I'm training for a triathlon, and he's like, Dad, he makes me say that I'm training for an Ironman.
Oh, that's so awesome. Because there's a difference, right? There is a difference.
They know how big of a struggle this is. And then them saying or seeing that I actually go do it anyway, I think that speaks volumes to them. For a guy that they saw hit rock bottom, now they're seeing me pick myself up and make something more of myself. And, I think they say, hey, we can do hard things. Dad can do that, and we can do it too. So at least that's what I hope they get out of it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got to wrap this up. Jody, thank you so much for just putting it all out there. That's one of the things that I really admire about you, is the fact that you are willing to live your life, put your difficulties out there. As you were talking about how your kids were supporting you, it can be really hard for us guys to let other people know when we have big struggles, because, we're not supposed to have struggles. But if you don't let people know that you have struggles, then people can't support you in those struggles, and people want to support you, especially if they see that we're working towards, overcoming those struggles. So I think that's a big takeaway. I know it was towards the end, and that might be a little bit of a cop out because you said you had so many great points all along, but that kind of is what's resonating with me right now. So let people know the struggles that you have in your life, that, core group of people, so they can support you in those struggles, because I think that's a big part of being successful. John, what did you like? What's your takeaway here?
Man, I'm inspired. The perseverance, I think, the thing that's sticking with me right now is you said you failed a lot and you fell down, but you keep getting back up. And I think, to me, that's the thing that sometimes, is the most difficult to do. And you're showing that is, one of your greatest strengths, is that you're not a quitter, and that you do get back up. And I think that, to me, is the thing resonating in my head right now.
Mitch, what do you got for us?
The idea that making a person's their message moves me so much. And just like being one of those people that can reach out and interact with other people, whether it be on a platform, whether it be on a blog, whether it be just person to person, like how important it is to have that kind of social network, especially when you're trying for these big goals and doing these big things, and to be able to, I'm going to recommit to doing some more of those. Cause it's just like, even a couple of weeks ago, my buddy Rob, I work with him every week. And he said, you know what? Hey, have you been losing some weight? And I'm like, yeah, like 2 pounds, and he's like, well, yeah, that's something. And I don't know, that just like, that is something to celebrate, and to have a community, to have people in your life, and to be that for other people. I think that's really amazing.
I appreciate it. Somebody reached out to me on Twitter, and they said, hey, because of you, I went and signed up for a triathlon, and I did a triathlon. And it's stuff like that that's just really cool. So it's fun to be part of your own journey, but it's also fun to like realize that you're helping other people in their journeys, whether it's, it doesn't have to be triathlons or whatever, but just to help them. And the Ironman motto is anything is possible. And I'm believing them. I'm taking it to heart, and I'm making sure that I do everything that I need to do to live up to that motto, to make sure that I can be part of that anything is possible.
Jody, I absolutely love that we can learn from you that healthy is not a one-time decision. It's a series of recommitments, whether that's physical health, whether that's emotional health. You know, you went to therapy for a while. It didn't work out, but you said, like, I'm going to go recommit to this. I'm going to go again. And now it's starting to stick a little bit more. We're certainly hoping and rooting for you in your Ironman, and that, you know, these commitments stick this second time around. And I think being aware that they might not, and having plans in place and having a list of whys, I think are all steps that, you know, make it more likely that the second time it's going to happen. When is your race again? Remind us.
It is on October 19th in Sacramento. Okay. Yeah. So, hey, there's still 7.5 weeks. You guys could join me.
Yeah, I was afraid that's what you were going with that.
Maybe the three of you could each take a leg. Oh, you have to work that day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait. Everybody on this podcast will be rooting you on silently that day. Guys, I'll have a little moment of silence for Jody that day.
Eat pizza for me.
Right. Jody, thank you so much for being on. Certainly appreciate it. If you have thoughts or comments on this episode, if you live your life messy and the mess is the message, if you've learned that it has to be a series of recommitments, it's not happily, healthily ever after, and you think that message would be, you know, something would resonate, then we would love to hear from you. You can email us, hello@thescoperadio.com, hello@thescoperadio.com. Thanks for listening. Thanks for caring about men's health. Go get them, Jody.
Thanks, Mitch, John, and Scott. Appreciate the conversation.